Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com. And I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Greetings, everyone. Today's episode, Brain Dead Folks. This will be in conjunction, correlation, corresponding with thelibertybeacon.com, can lead leftists to facts, but cannot make them think. Part 1. Yes, this will be a part 1 also. We will be continuing along those same lines on ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, as well as the Liberty Beacon, with a part 2 to all this. So this show, at least the segment dealing with brain dead folks, will be a shorter one, so I urge you to go to thelibertybeacon.com and see that corresponding can lead leftists to facts but cannot make them think part 1. And of course, again, tuning in next week as well as reading next week's TLB piece that corresponds as a part 2. But this segment for this show will be shorter than next week's discussion of this as a part 1 and part 2. But brain dead folks who don't know anything, don't care to educate themselves on anything, are how the politicians, those in D.C., and let me be clear, CINOs, rhinos, and fascocrats, the deep state establishment alike, not the uniparty, the deep state, CINOs, rhinos, fascocrats together, the deep state, because there are plenty of good people working within the Republican Party. It has the word republic in the title for a reason, about preserving the republic, or now, since it's been so bastardized and the trust shattered, have gotten to this point. Plenty of Republicans fighting that, not enough. But it's not one big uniparty. Those are all part of the establishment, deep state cabal that puts themselves into place regardless of who is elected or not, trying to undermine those in the Republican Party or other, although the other parties don't amount to anything, never gotten anybody elected to anything, but those trying to restore our American Republic, or as I say, hashtag ROAR, R-O-A-R, restore our American Republic, because the trust has been shattered. We have indeed been betrayed by those, a lot of them, not all of them, far too many of them in D.C., that we then therefore now have to fight to restore our republic. Hashtag ROAR. And you can joke, because I have said over and over, one of the best ways to get through to brain dead people, people who are snowflakes, they're emotional hysterics, they can't be reached with logic, reason, facts. The best way at times to broach those kind of people are through humor. So I coined hashtag ROAR and often mention ROAR. No, not the Katy Perry Roar video, which is a quasi homage to the Helen Reddy I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar song. Katy Perry's Roar tune and the somewhat almost softcore pornish Roar video, not about Katy Perry, Roar video fanboyism, but indeed restore our American Republic fair and necessity. If you joke, you can sometimes get something past someone's defenses, as I've discussed in Rattle With Us Tea Party pieces I've written, Red State / Town Hall pieces I've written, Before It's News pieces I've written, thelibertybeacon.com pieces I've written. This is an ongoing theme. Beyond that, I'm not going to go too deep in further to the issue of dealing with brain dead folks, other than how I've said the Red State article that this is based upon was titled Dealing with Our Frustration with the Politically Brain Dead from August 22nd, 2009. This all is kind of an update to and from that, and also following last week's Red Pill Strategy show and article. These all sort of tying together with past, these present, and no doubt some future shows and articles. But it may seem very odd, but dealing with people coming to grips with their politics, as many things from a psychological aspect, is like dealing with mourning. You've all heard it: shock, denial, anger, acceptance, right? That also happens to be my favorite Rick Springfield collection, 2 CD, 1 DVD set, where he deals with that as the stages of grief as an album concept, but politically getting people to grips with the fact that they've had no clue of what's been going on. They've been living a fantasy, a delusion, manure spin that the media, ENEMEDIA, as I've hashtagged and coined, media feeds them, delusional bubble. You need to bring them through like the stages of grief, shock them in some way, shape, or form, or the fact that they don't want to be shocked and understand that somehow their delusions have been wrong. But if you can put a crack in their delusion, their first stage will indeed be shock. And then we need to progress them, which the next stage indeed will likely be denial. It can't be true. You must be a liar for getting them to question their delusional bubble, to then get them to the anger phase, to get them pissed off at those who've been calling all of us conspiracy theorists to try. Warning, warning, Will Robinson. Danger, danger. If you're watching on at J. Leonard Detroit, YouTube or Rumble, or potentially BitChute or Brighteon channels, this episode video behind the scenes sneak peek, you'll notice a very weird and rough segue here. And if you're listening on audio only, I'm going to leave this in by way of explanation, though the pause will be cut out in the audio. You've seen me all of a sudden now, this continuation, because I didn't want to scrap everything I'd set to this point, but I had an equipment malfunction. Yes, the headphones came unplugged, and therefore the audio went away. So I am picking up here where I left off there, talking about conspiracy theory, right? We need them angry at those who've been labeling everyone conspiracy theorists when talking about things that have been real all along, so that the media could discredit or distort or deny or whatever. If you've read my TLB, the leftist 7Ds piece, to deceive people away from those realities we've been talking about as labeling them as conspiracy theories. Now, that is not to say there indeed is some conspiracy nuttiness out there that is just as delusional as what the left media wants to feed people to believe. And if you tune into the red pill strategy, you will have heard the term controlled opposition. They want conspiracy nuttiness so that things that are actual conspiracies, things that some people have indeed conspired together to do, like discredit the Hunter Biden laptop that was real the entire time, but they had an election to influence, had to try to convince you the Hunter Biden thing was a conspiracy theory. So they create conspiracy nuttiness so that some real things can also be lumped into the conspiracy theory category in hopes that you will dismiss it and consider those telling you about it as discredited. So we need now to get the people angry, that anger phase, at those who have been lying to them, calling these real things conspiracy theory, again, lumping them indeed with some conspiracy nuttiness that has no basis or concept in reality. And in part two, I will get into some of the conspiracy reality items that still, as red pill strategy, I generally don't talk about to or with the brain dead folks, general public, because they're just so far out there, you're never going to convince them, despite the facts and the evidence that it's real. So we need to stick to the things like the Hunter Biden laptop, which is so easily evidenced and facts given, and indeed coming out, Tony Bobulinski's testimony. I forget the guy's name that was Hunter's another accomplice that's rotting behind bars for being involved in the very Biden crime family things that the Hunter Biden laptop exposes. He's rotting in jail. He's outed Hunter and Joe Biden, confirming, I was grasping for a word there, confirming what Tony Bobulinski and indeed others said about Joe's quid pro quo that he literally spoke about on video you can find. I will not give you American taxpayer dollars unless you fire the prosecutor looking into my son, inept, given a pay to do nothing job with Burisma because he's got no energy in experience. It's a pay for play, an influence peddling payment, money laundering scheme, all factual. He was on video saying, fire the guy. We don't want this coming out. You can see that. It's right under your nose, right in front of your face. Yet some people still try to dismiss that as conspiracy theory. So all of this to get them angry at those who have been lying to them. But indeed, remembering we can't go into some of the things, and I'm not even going to mention them here, that indeed are conspiracy reality, but most would still deem so far out there, so far out of their realm of never willing to believe them. They just don't want to believe them. Truthful, evidenced, factual, otherwise. It's just too much for them to ever accept that next phase, that it is just silly to try to bring to them, because you're just going to get eye rolls and they're going to walk away. But you must get them angry at things that indeed are evidenced and factual that can show them their delusion, like with Brandon Strzok, the woman who gave him the video of Trump's actual comments about Charlottesville at a question and answer period following a DOT, Department of Transportation, meeting, a presser they held after. Someone showed Brandon Strzok, got him to review it, and he saw for himself Trump's actual words about Charlottesville versus the out of context, distorted lies the media was telling him, which began Brandon Strzok's red pill journey and therefore his creation of the walk away from Democrats movement. We're going to end it here because I want to get to segment 2 and the author discussion about his forthcoming book. Again, this is a part 1 of a part 2, almost really a part 3 series to go with the red pill strategy the week before. So tune into next show and look at next week's TLB piece as well as this week's TLB piece for far more information. Without further ado, we're going to head into segment 2. My apologies for the technical difficulties, but as I promised you in the show open, hey, no muss, no fuss, me, you, honest. There was a technical difficulty. I left that in. It's part of my being honest with you, the audience. Thank you. Please listen to the second segment. Welcome back to the show by no demand at all. My friend, Michael Gardner, a.k.a. Savaged. Is it sunny down there in Florida?
It was. It's gloomy now.
Oh, well, I wish I could afford a plane or even a slow train to somewhere, anywhere sunny, because, yeah, we've had weeks of gloominess here in Michigan. So, but,
Right?
It is winter in Michigan. It's not like I don't know that's generally how it is.
Yeah, we actually had a mild winter here in Florida. I mean, we had I've told you this a couple weeks ago. It actually reached down to the 40s, which is pretty cold in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's back in the 70s, almost 80s again. So
stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ed Bondarenka, and I host Your American Heritage on Saturdays at 2 in the afternoon on this station. Your American Heritage is a show about the struggle we find ourselves in and how to react to it in the light of our biblical and American heritage. Listen to it while you're working around the house, the garage, cleaning the guns, walking the dog, driving, or just lazing around. Join me at 2 o'clock Saturdays here on Wham Radio, 1600 AM, 92.7 FM.
God bless America.
Yeah, I'd love to be able, no way I can afford it to hop a plane to Miami, then rent a car and drive down to Key West just for a day. That would be great. But hell, only the McDonald's budget is in my menu is in my budget. Doing something like that certainly is not. At any rate, as I've been saying too much of on my show,
right.
You're here for kind of a social media buzz segment.
Oh, is that what we're calling it, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the other day, fascocrats' idiocy and hypocrisy on full display. 3 years ago, of course, fascocrats illegally and unconstitutionally demanded you shut your business down and put your employees out of work. Now, of course, they want to illegally, unconstitutionally, commie control of everything style, demand a business remain open despite the fact they're in a now crime-riddled fascocrat shithole and can't earn a profit, therefore must close. The left demands they stay open and lose money.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works for their gander, right? Right, Joe? I mean, we've seen that in certain cities. I mean, oh boy, right? Wear your mask, protect grandma. Now it's the other way around. Now it's like, oh, it's the mask's not required because I think grandma's is gonna be okay this time around. I mean, make up your mind, folks. That's how I see it, Joe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chicago, New York City, San Francisco, Baltimore, all these shithole cities, Philadelphia, even these days, they've turned these cities into shitholes and enact laws that allow criminals to literally steal up to like $1,000 of stuff and wonder why businesses have to close down because they can't make a profit. And of course, I didn't unplug the phone, so you can hear that ringing in the background. It's like, I unplug the phone, nobody calls. I
always put mine on silent. Hey, if it's important, they'll leave a voicemail, right? That's how I see it.
Well, yeah, the home phone is the one ringing, and of course they're not leaving a message, so it was probably just some spam call anyway. Right?
Possibility.
At
always
any rate, and also on social media, I thought election denial was somehow a federal crime now, right? But Joe Biden is out there now denying Glenn Youngkin actually was officially and properly and legally elected governor, saying McAuliffe really was the governor still.
He got confused again, Joe. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Or at least that's what the Democrats are like. No, he got confused. It's okay. Just a gaffe. Everything is fine. Joe Biden is, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
God forbid Donald Trump said that, the 10 o'clock news would be putting it out on the headline. Donald Trump is incoherent. Donald Trump is losing his mind. I mean,
and of course, meanwhile, Stacey Abrams still running around denying her election loss. Hillary Clinton still denies her 2016 election loss. Al Gore still denies his 2000 election loss. Jamie Raskin and the other buffoons in 2001 and 2017 spent hours on the House and Senate floor denying the election and trying to block electors of a Republican president. But heaven forbid, in 2021, actual laws, election laws violated and clear evidence of fraud can't be brought before the Congress and question a state's certification. A lot of states broke their own laws, therefore aren't legally able to certify the validity of those results. Now, I don't think enough states would have probably been able to have been shot down and decertified to have prevented Biden from being sworn in. I'm not saying that. I'm just pointing out the usual hypocritical double standard.
I know you mentioned something about Stacey Abrams. I know she's parading herself around Georgia right now with the latest book, the Justice Rogue, or the Rogue Justice crap that she's trying to orchestrate, right? Let's talk about Rogue Justice, Stacey. Wasn't it Rogue Justice in your city? There's still Rogue Justice going on in your city. You're committing the Rogue Justice in your own city, but you won't hear that from her. It's always the other side. Whatever doesn't fit her narratives.
Right.
She loves to spit it. I mean, you see that all the time.
Yeah, I like to joke about Dinesh D'Souza's movie instead of what it's called. I call it 2,000 Mules and One Whale. Because a lot of the election Dropbox provable fraud by his movie was bought and paid for and arranged at, and those mules went to offices funded by Stacey Abrams, whatever her lame group foundation is called. So not only is she an election denier, she directly is involved in violating election law in another election.
You'll never hear her openly admit to that. She was one of those that orchestrated the entire 2020 fraud in Georgia. I clearly see that. There's a lot. I mean, you look at Keisha Lance Bottoms, another one, but you'll never see the mainstream media bring that up. No. That election was completely legitimate in Atlanta. Come on. We've heard it. You and I discussed this even on my show, Joe, with the whole Fulton County Mercedes-Benz Stadium. There's a leak in Mercedes-Benz Stadium at 2:00 in the morning. No. That's when the cameras went off and they took all the stuff underneath the desk and started, okay. Yep.
Yeah, and despite the security cam, and before I say that, you're in Florida now, but you have family in Georgia. You were in Georgia, so just so people, so people are aware of that. It's not not like you're speculating. You were there.
Joe, I seen the suspicious activity unfold literally during that entire time. I was walking down Peachtree Street, folks. If you're not familiar with downtown Atlanta, that's the main drag that goes down from the upper side of North Atlanta, which is near Buckhead, and it goes all the way down to damn near the airport over at Hartsford International. And I seen suspicious activity. I seen big military type of cargo container trailers and all these forklifts and everything. And I'm like questioning myself, and there's people questioning the same thing. Like, what the hell's going on over there? Capitol Police, Georgia Capitol Police there in Atlanta, literally forcing people out of that area. This is a restricted area. You can't be here. Restricted? No, it's not. Why is it restricted?
Yeah. Well, and
there was a lot of shady stuff going down, Joe.
Same shenanigans that went on at Cobo Hall in Detroit also. And it's not like you can't still see the security camera footage that caught them pulling literal buckets out. Why would legitimate ballots be hidden somewhere under a desk? And
they pulled it out at the precise time.
Only pulled out when they thought the cameras were off, and you can literally see them running the same ballots through the counter 5 times. no legitimate reason
Yeah.
to run a single ballot that might get kicked out through a machine
I like the part where
5 times.
I like the part where they were taping up the windows. Literally
Equitable
the
Hall.
windows, folks. They were taping up windows like you would see like an old episode of Howard Stern when he had like a naked woman on the show or something. They're using like newspaper clippings and they're just taping it up. They weren't using newspaper. I'm putting a pun in, folks.
Pizza
They were
boxes.
taking like poster board and
Yep.
taping it up where they didn't want you to see what they were doing.
Right. If it's a fair and free election,
Why are they sealing it up?
why do you need to hide your activity? Exactly. You know, and also of late, a deep fake video emerged of Joe Biden. Well, not a video, actually a fake robocall, right?
Oh, okay.
Of Biden talking
They're the
about
best.
you don't need to show up for primary day, just show up on general election day in New Hampshire. So, of course, now the left has the excuse of anything that doesn't fit their narrative. Oh, that's deep fake. Oh, that ain't true. That's deep fake. They will deny anything and everything reality based as deep fake.
Yeah, I like the part the other day where I think it was like 2 days ago now, where he went on camera and he kind of made I guess you could call it an attack or something, where he went after Trump and he says, if Trump wants to pull the muscle towards the end, I'm like, what did he just say? Like even the captions, Joe, even the captions, they couldn't even like understand it. Like it was all like gibberish and like alien type caption. It was funny as hell. It really was. At this point, I thought, I mean, I disliked Biden, with his policy, but at this point, I feel bad for the guy. I really do. I mean, it's elder abuse of what's going on with him. Like, doesn't the DNC, don't they see that? Even the GOP, their colleagues, don't they see what they're doing to this man? I mean, they're putting him through like political hell. I mean, the guy can clearly form a sentence, literally form a complete thought. It's elder abuse.
Yeah, they don't care. He's just the puppet for the left agenda. And yeah, he's not in charge of a damn thing. That's for sure. Now, I noticed on your social media, you've been talking about and explain to the audience that may not know anything about the next trucker convoy.
Oh yeah, guys, if for those that are interested in that, it is a very, very large trucking convoy, grabbing a lot of attention on X. I know the post that we put out has almost reached like 1,600 views. That was just like a couple days ago. So thank you very much. Hat tip to everybody that has been grabbing that attention to it. This trucking convoy, guys, is going to be organized by American truckers as well as American citizens that is concerned about our border, and rightfully so. Now, this convoy is going to be starting in Virginia Beach, Virginia, making its way down to the parts of the Carolinas, to Jacksonville, Florida, over through the Panhandle to Pensacola, through Mississippi into Louisiana, on over towards San Antonio, Texas, down to the southern border. That's where it's going to finish. Every city in every major area is going to be a rest stop for truckers, obviously, because it's required by federal law and DOT. They have to stop. So as they stop, you're going to start seeing more truckers join the convoy. It is an organized convoy, and it's a peaceful assembly. I have to put that out there for your listeners, Joe. It's a peaceful assembly organized by American truckers that are literally fed up of what's going on with our southern border. For all the information, guys, you can visit my X account. There is a QR code for your listeners if you want to jump down there and scan it, or go to the website takeourborderback.com. Again, guys, a very, very well organized convoy. Literally, I think I just checked, looking at my actual phone right now, Joe. It's there's literally almost 3 million people that are going to be part of this convoy. So it's very, very large convoy.
And they will likely be causing some traffic tie-ups.
Oh, without a doubt.
They have no plans to illegally block anything, unlike in France, I think it was, I saw the other day, some farmers took their tractors onto roadways and literally just shut them down and block the roadways. I'm all for protesting, and I support what they're doing to the point up to where they then act like left-wing loons here in the U.S., going literally like locking arms, sitting on the roadways. These people need to have their asses hauled off to jail. You've got a right to protest, but not block others. You can't block others' freedoms and rights to travel and conduct commerce.
Absolutely. I mean, you have a right to voice your opinions, whether, again, they're opinions, folks. Sometimes they could be facts, sometimes they could be opinions. Either or, it works both sides. You have a right to voice out, but you, like Joe said here on his show, you don't have a right to block major highways. Now, again, going back to this convoy, Joseph, for your listeners so they understand, yes, it's going to cause some traffic, but of what I'm told by some friends here that are organizing this, that passed this information over to me to be an advocate for this convoy. There are going to be sheriff deputies throughout the states that are going to be assisting this if it does tend to block roadways. But a lot of these truck drivers will obey law, local law and state law.
Absolutely. They are legally and properly accessing and using roadways they have every right to be on, as long as they're legally, lawfully trying to indeed use the roadway to get from point A to point B, not shut their trucks down in the middle of it and unlawfully block it. That's not what they're intending to do.
Yeah. And I want to give a big hat tip to a couple people, if you don't mind, that is organizing this. A few people we've had on the show already. Texas Red. Thanks very much, brother, out there in Texas, organizing this, as well as Texas Trucker. Joseph and I actually had the discussion with him. A huge, huge advocate organizing this, as well as Marlon. Thank you very much, Marlon, for putting this out, as well as Sheriff Joshua James out there in Texas. Thank you very much, Sheriff Joshua James. He will be assisting the truckers when they make their way into Texas. It's going to be interesting, Joseph, when they do get to the southern border, what that type of activity will look like on mainstream. Do you think they're going to spin it in a little bit? They may.
Of course, the media will get hysterical and their panties in a bunch and engage in spin and propaganda. This will be another insurrection. Yeah.
God. Yeah. They're setting the Mexicans back. They're being racist.
Of course.
Folks, we're stealing our border because it's a huge humanitarian crisis that our president is not seeing.
And security issue, obviously.
Economic issue, too.
Yeah. And with that, I want to, before we go, mention savagedarmy.com. Let everyone know you're part of the ROAR movement, the Restore Our American Republic. There's that gear. There's all kinds of other great gear at savagedarmy.com to check out.
Yeah. Check that stuff out, guys. savagedarmy.com. Restore Our American Republic. It's now or never, guys. It's not about, the fancy graphics on a T-shirt or a coffee mug. I mean, literally, that's how our message gets spread across social media platforms, right, Joe? I mean, buy this merchandise, guys, and start this movement today, because this movement may save America, because our country is literally being invaded with an enemy, not from overseas, but an enemy within. Our own people want to destroy our republic. It's not a democracy. It's a republic.
That's right.
We have to save this republic. We have to restore it back to its glory days. We have to bring back America of what it was once founded in 1776. The principles that this country, Joseph, we inherited this land from God Almighty. Gave us this land, gave us our liberties and freedoms. Why do they want to destroy this? It's on me. The $1 million question that needs to be questioned. I mean, terrible.
Yep. And with that, I'm going to close us out because this is just one segment of a larger, broader show. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.
Take it easy.
Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff. No fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.